What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the first episode in our coverage of Dead in Bermuda. My name is Splattercat, and I'm happy to have you here today as we hang out for a little while and try to survive on an island. So, a lot of our survival games lately have been feeling a little bit stale. I figured I wanted to open up a new one, and this one is as good as any to open up on. If you haven't heard of Dead in Bermuda, I'm not surprised because it's made by a little tiny company called CCCP, which has like 2 employees, maybe 3 employees. And it's a game where you take a group of people and you have to survive on an island, not only with like hunger and fatigue and stuff like that, but it's also got a social aspect to it. So all of your little villagers have to get along with each other as you're trying to survive the island. On top of that, it's also got some weird like J.J. Abrams Lost type shenanigans going on, which really sort of ends up making the game really fascinating to play. I enjoyed the hell out of it for the last couple hours, and so I figured I'd do a little series on it. We'll check it out here because I do think that this game is going to be fairly popular. It's a good one. If you haven't heard of it, go check it out, because I'm sure if you're into survival games, you'll probably find this one to be pretty satisfying. So without further ado, let's play some Dead in Bermuda. That's my favorite step of the loading process right there, crying a lot. I'm sure that's part of the game development process to any creative process. Sitting in the closet and just rocking back and forth like everything I do is terrible. A few hours after the crash, Alejandro. Hey everybody, let's regroup and talk for a bit. Thank you everyone for helping make a camp. That's heartwarming to see we're sticking together after the, well, you know, the horror that happened. Let's take a moment and let's introduce ourselves since we may live together for a while. I'm Alice, 45, and this is my husband, Robert. We come from Montreal. I love hiking and cooking, and I'm pleased to meet you all. You can call me Bob, guys. Don't know what to say. I like to tinker a bit at home. Oh, and going fishing on Sundays. Okay, thanks. So, my name is Alejandro, and I'm 32. You all know me, I think. I was the manager at the holiday resort you were staying in. It was my flight to my first holiday in 10 years, so yeah. Wow, if it weren't for bad, that's also ironic. It's ironic, and if it weren't for bad luck, you'd have no luck at all, buddy. Man, 10 years you haven't been off the reservation, and then they get you with the first plane crash? Brutal. Hi, I'm Dr. Bethany Winters, and I come from London. If you need medical help, come see me. I could try to do, like, a British accent, but it's gonna be so bad, you guys. You don't want me to do that. It's gonna be an absolute slaughter if I do. Yuri says ... My dad doesn't speak much, so please excuse him. I'm Ilyana, I'm 16, and we're coming from a small village in Russia. And Julia married my dad last summer. Hello. Everything's already said. Don't expect me to reveal my age, or I should have to silence you forever. Jesus, she's already headed straight to murder. We just got out of a plane crash, lady. Are we finished? We're wasting precious time. We gotta organize ourselves. I'm Jacob, and I know how to survive in a hostile environment. I've been preparing for this eventuality all my life. While you were all uselessly crying, I went around and found a large water tank containing clear water and enough resources to make a fire. You're right, Jacob. But before that, I suggest we take a moment of silence in the honor of those who didn't survive the crash. They will haunt my nights until I leave this world. And so there it is, the end of our discussion. So this game has a heavy social aspect to it, but at the same time, it's also a really, really competent exploration / narrative / crafting game. Like, seriously, this really surprised me. It's a fun little game, and I think we're going to have a blast with it here. But the results of our first discussion as a group, we got 10 wood, 2 stone, a Tinder account, and then everybody got 20 depression because we just got through a plane crash, which I assume had lots of bodies exploding and, like, blood being, like, all over your face, and you're just like, ah! And also falling from the sky like a banished angel into the side of the earth. Like, crash. So we're probably not going to do a whole lot of the tutorials. I've already done them. There's only one tutorial that I wanted to look at one more time, and so I'll probably try and grab that on the way by. But essentially, we're in the camp view right now, and all that it's saying is that if we move the mouse around, we can pan and scan around our camp, just like that. Very, very simple. And so on the left-hand side, we've got the crashed plane, we've got a workshop, we've got a library, and the plane is going to be the first, for I guess about the first hour to an hour and a half that you play. This is where all of your supplies are going to come from, aside from just like random excursions out to the middle of the island. The workshop is where you craft new things, obviously. The library is where you research new things to craft. Over on this side, we've got the campfire, which we haven't actually set up yet. It looks like they just put down the stones, but the campfire will allow us to have discussions around the fire and lower people's depression. Later on, there will be other buildings that we build in here that allow us to do different functions. We've got the big trunk, which allows us to look at our inventory, as I recall. We've got the water tank, which you can click on to take a look at your water supply. Right now, we've got 50 water. Everybody uses 1 water a day, so it's a 1-for-1 conversion. Everybody needs 1 unit of water a day to survive, and you distribute that at the beginning of each day. Over here on this side, you're going to find the jungle, which is really where the interesting things start to happen. This is a weird game, believe me. When you go out to the jungle, this game starts to get very surreal. It starts playing around with the occult. It starts playing around with, like, sea and mermaid lore. It starts playing around with just all kinds of weirdness. Psychic emanation. It becomes a very strange game once you get, like, 10 or 15 days into it. It starts to become a little bit surreal. So anyways, if you're really not tied to realism and you like extracurricular sort of, I guess, I don't even know what to call it. If you like supernatural type stuff, there we go. So I was going to say, if you like the extracurriculars in a book, which is essentially supernaturality and kind of government conspiracies and things like that, you will probably like this game because the supernatural starts to become really, really weird once you get out of here. So our first task is to move a character to the scavenge slot. And so what you want to do first is if you go to this little clicky thing up here in the top right corner, it'll give you everybody's physical overview and mental overview. If any of these numbers hit 100%, they die. And so we've got hunger, we've got sickness, we've got depression, we've got fatigue, and we've got injury. You really, really, really don't want any of these to hit triple digits because they die instantly. That's it. At the beginning of the next day, they'll kill themselves, or they'll die of disease, or they'll starve to death, whatever. We've also got the skill panel right here, and skills are broken down into 4 different quadrants. So you've got physical, mental, utility, and food skills. And everybody has their own. Every action buffs up different skills and different physical attributes. Everything does something, but in reality, what you really want to make sure of is that you always give people jobs that they like, because if you don't, they get more depressed, and then there's an increased chance that they'll fight with other people while doing those jobs. Just be aware that this is a thing that you really, really, really want to pay attention to as you're playing the game, because if you don't work people according to their strengths, you're kind of wasting your own time, and this is a game where you have a very limited amount of time to get certain things done. And while I'm not an expert at it, I've only played like the first 2 hours of the game, I've already kind of like worked my way through the first few mistakes that you're going to make in the early game. So hopefully we'll be able to make this all work. What you can see right here with this little arrow, it says that if we leave them right here, so later on, once we get through the tutorial, there'll be a button right here that allows us to bypass the day. This means that if you bypass the day in their current state or at their current task, this will go up, and so it'll level. And if it goes down, it's, you know, self-explanatory. The other thing you can also do is you can click on their little portrait, and it will take you to their personal menu. Now, every time you play the game, they will have new traits that, like, move around and things like that. Actually, do they? Yeah, they do. Every single game, they have random traits, and so I'm assuming this game is going to have a lot of replayability. They always start with the same skills, but they don't start with the same traits. And so Alejandro has no patience, which means he's bad at fishing. He's got open book, which means that he actually discovers his traits way faster as he levels. We've got Ileana's a nerd, which means that her intelligence goes up faster. She's got positive mind, which means that she actually heals her depression faster in conversation. We've got Jacob, who's a hunter, which means he actually had that in my last game, so maybe one of his is standard. And then he's got survivalist, which means that, wow, actually he's doing really well. Every utility skill goes up faster. Well, damn, son, that's really, really good. That means we always want him on utility duty. All right. And so with Winters, she has Faithful Friend. She has that in my other game too, but she has a different second one. That means that she actually loses opinion slower than everybody else. So at the end of each action you give somebody that's tied with another survivor, they'll get a little heart above their head with a plus or a minus. That determines whether they fought or whether they became friends during the endeavor. And this makes it so that if they fought, it's not quite as damaging on her end. She's also a nerd, which is the same thing that Ileana has, which means that her intelligence will go up faster. Ileana's father has secretive, which means he doesn't find new traits very easily, but he's got a strong metabolism, which means that his sickness increases slower. We've got Julia, who's a gym guru, which means her physical skills go up. She's a bodybuilder. Okay, so that means that her strength goes up faster. I've got a friend who's a female bodybuilder. She kills it. damn, when she gets up on those barbells, you'd be like, damn, girl. And she's actually not like super, oh, that sucks. He's got no good skills. So he's got lazy, which means his fatigue goes up faster, which is bad. He's also got dumb, which means that's going to be a problem because all of his skills are intelligence related. So that's really going to hurt us. We've got Alice, who is a snob, which means her utility skills don't go up very well because she doesn't work well with others. And she's a chef, which means she cooks pretty well. The other thing you want to pay attention to is relationships. It's very simple. The more hearts, the more they like each other. When the hearts max out, if they're... I actually don't know what happens if they're same-sex. But anyways, when their hearts max out, they have like a relationship. I don't know if that's actually like a sexual relationship or just like it means they have a tangible real-life connection. I know that if you look at Ileana and Yuri, her father, they have full hearts and it says relationship. So I assume that's just sort of a translational ambiguity. I think the game must have been translated from another language just based on the conversational dialogue that I've seen so far. But anyways, I think that means that they just, you know, they have either a familial tie or something like that, like they have a long-standing relationship. Simple enough. The next thing we need to do is we need a scavenger. So the reason we went here is because I wanted to look at people's skills, and scavenging is going to be under the utility skills right here along the bottom. And it looks like our best guy is going to be Yuri, who gets a 10% bonus for scavenging. So let's bring him over here by clicking and dragging. Bam! And there he is. This guy has an amazing physique, although I'm not sure what's up with those shoes with no socks. You're going to get yourself some nasty calluses doing that thing. But anyways, reasonable dress sense. At least you can put an outfit together too. So there you go. It is a skill. It is a skill. The character will search the crash site for useful... Okay, I know how to do that. We don't care about that at all. And so we have to do research now. So it wants me to put 2 people on research duty. Research is going to be directly tied to... I think there's actually a skill called research. Or something like that. You need knowledge, and then you also need... It might just be the knowledge skill. So knowledge is the one that you want to use for research. And it actually looks like we're dealing with a number of people who are not necessarily the brightest bulbs in the batch. So I would say that Ileana tends to be your go-to person for research. That's usually what I use her for. And so there we go. She's now researching. Can you like drag people anywhere? I never really tried. We could use Jacob, but I don't really know. I might save him for something else later on. I need 2 people on this, but I may drag and drop them off. Actually, let's just put Winters on this. We'll have her help with it. Her knowledge is not incredible, but she is a doctor, so I assume that she has some cursory knowledge of the scientific research process. So anyways, we've got... That's not what I need right there. So what's going to happen here is when we end the day, or we end the time period, there's going to be a button down here when we get done with the tutorial that's going to allow us to pass time. Every time you pass time, every day is divided up into 2 units. So you have a morning and an evening activity. And then at the end of the night, people have conversations, they go to sleep, and they wake up the next day, and you just repeat it all over again. Inside the library, their efficiency is 1.69. That's pretty good. So that'll work out all right. So that says if you get 38% progress, that'll bump us up by a pretty considerable amount. We need to move characters to explore in the jungle. As I recall, Alice is very good at exploration. Let me take a look here. I believe that is a utility skill. So Alejandro's okay at it. And Alice is an actual... She's a bang up at exploring. So let's take... That's not Alice. Wrong person here. You sit down, rotund man. We'll bring back her. Alright. Looks like, I mean, aside from the shorty shorts, she has the best explore. She has hiking boots, which puts her up on a ledge over everybody else right now. If I was Alejandra, I'd be a little bit upset that I was in a survival situation with my flip-flops. Got a thong on. That's on top of the flip-flops. But anyways, this guy's got his, I don't know if those are like, they look like Adidas sandals almost. Let's bring him over here. What I don't like about the beginning of the game is they force you to use people who aren't good at jobs to do like the random jobs that are around, because you have to fill in every single slot at the beginning, otherwise it won't let you bypass the tutorial. It's troublesome because that means in the beginning you're going to have some problems with people not getting along and whatnot because they don't really understand the task that they're doing or whatever else. Like Jacob, never let him talk to anybody. He's just the worst. He's a paranoid. I don't know if he's schizophrenic, but he's definitely paranoid. You'll find out later on in the storyline pretty soon, so it's not much of a spoiler. Next 10 minutes, you're probably going to find out about it, so whatever. You can tell by looking at him. He's definitely shifty. He's not the John Locke kind of crazy. He's the probably detrimental to the group type of crazy. Let's see here. I need one more person to go exploring, so I think I'm going to take Julia. Her skill set seems to be the closest aligned to what we're going for here. Alright, and then this is the tutorial that I wanted to read one more time because I missed this on my first way through. These ones will explore the island. You can select which square to explore by clicking on the jungle, then clicking on the corresponding action in the action wheel. else they will explore randomly. Okay, so let's click on the jungle, and we'll tell them where to explore. Here's the world map. And so your characters can only move adjacent to where they are right now, but every single one of these squares has its own hand-painted tile that has like activities and stuff you can do on it, and then they're randomly sorted every time you play the game. I was really surprised at the content density in this game when I first started playing. I was like, holy shit, dude. Like, I thought this was one of those little like $8 games that you just randomly spend a Sunday afternoon playing, but this is a game that could considerably eat up a chunk of your time. Now, I haven't come across any bugs or anything like that yet either. It seems to be pretty well polished. So, I don't know, what does that say right there? It says, like, whoever, they need better handwriting. But I'm going to say that we should probably work our way up the coast, possibly, or down the coast. Let's work our way down the coast. Last time I played the game, I went up and around this way and kind of killed this big block right here. If it's all randomized, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to have them go down this way and just sort of, maybe just this big valley over here, possibly? Why can't we go off to the right? Maybe you got to find a pass. Let's go ahead and I'll leave that where it's at for right now. And they should all, let me see if that's still marked though, because I've never used this before. Okay, cool. I kind of just let them do their own thing the last time I played the game and just wander around the island randomly. Now, I also wanted to mention that this doesn't mean that we'll have 3 people searching in their individual directions. We actually have 3 people working together to explore. This tends to be kind of a waste because in general, Alice should be able to clear out a tile every single day by herself, but they make us do it for the tutorial, so we'll fix it later. The last thing we need to do is we need to select a crafting recipe in our workshop. So we click over here. We're going to choose the campfire. We're going to say OK. And then we need to put somebody into the crafting menu. Now, as I recall, Bob is pretty good at building things. And then he is Bob the Builder. Yes, go ahead. Make the joke. It's fine. We've also got, Crazy Man over here. I don't know what's going on. His pants appear to be a seatbelt from a car and then a burlap sack. You're like, well, when you need pants, you find burlap sack. When you need that, you find yourself tie and also sticks. He's got reindeer antlers. Those are his antennas. They help him find his way around. I'm sure it'll be okay. So there's our button. Let's go. So he found 15 wood, 7 rope, tasty meals, and 5 meals, and 4 fruit. A pillow, so that's pretty good. 2 coffee cups, so that'll be nice. See, that's why the plane crashed. It was made out of wooden ropes. If ever you get on your plane and it says wood and ropes on the side, or if you can see ropes sticking out, or perhaps a wooden fuselage, bad idea. Walk away from it. Nope, not going on this flight. I'll leave that for somebody else. And so we finished the campfire, which will actually be added over here in the center. I love the way your camp comes together in this game. Like, all the different pieces start to make it look like a home as you build and build and build. Okay, so they got 5 relationship. They got along. They did 100% research, and so they have researched the shelter, which we are going to need because people are going to accumulate fatigue over time. And I'm not talking about the military type. Well, it might be the military type of fatigue, depending on how you look at it. It seems like it would be fatiguing to be in the military. Either way, puns and wordplay aside, double meanings are hilarious. You need this to get rid of fatigue. People will like die of exhaustion in this game if you don't, and so you really kind of want to throw them in there every now and again and allow them to have a nap. And so we'll start working on that next because we don't really actually have much of a choice. The beginning hour or two, oh good, they got along too. Fantastic. Hopefully they get along. Julia tends to be a divisive force. She tends to be kind of like a grenade that you throw into all your... Oh, they got along. Well, hell. I found that Julia, nobody likes her. And so if you put her in any action, everybody tends to just like argue and fight the whole time. So she tends to be good at... She tends to be really, really good at a lot of things. But the downside, kind of the balancing mechanism for her being so good at so many things is that she makes everybody fight whenever you do anything. So anyways... Time has passed. Welcome to the evening. This is going to be the second half of our day. You have AM and PM phases of every single day. You can see that up here in the top left-hand corner if you hadn't noticed it yet. We need to craft a new recipe, and don't worry, if you forget to select a new recipe, it'll actually warn you before you bypass time. And so, very, very nice little UI thing to have. It's something that I do appreciate. I hate it when... Well, I think on one hand, if you're into hardcore gaming and being like an alpha gamer, I guess... Like, it's your own fault, dude. Don't click the button until you check everything. But if you're an idiot like me who likes things to be simplified, when you click the end the day button over here, it'll be like, you haven't selected a recipe yet, or you haven't selected research yet. Do you want to do this now? And it asks you, it makes a little list for you before you end the day that you can just go down the list and kind of fix everything. Pretty sweet stuff. He gets depression from going inside the plane. That's due to the fact that there's dead bodies in there. It explains it in the little tutorial window. So anytime you scavenge the plane, you're going to come face to face with dead people like, zombies. and it makes them upset. So we found a location. Let's have a look. So we found a crate on the beach. The last time I bit this, or I'm sorry, the last time that I did the wooden crate. So anytime you go to a location, so you notice how we went on the map to this location right here. Anytime you take an action on any square that is away from home, you have to make a stealth check, and then you have to make a check for whatever the activity is that you're doing. So let's say that I wanted to search this. It doesn't tell you, but when you click to search this, whoever comes out here has to make a stealth check first, because the island has monsters all over it. And I'm not talking about like cannibals or whatever. I'm talking on like full-on dinosaur radioactive bat monsters, snakes that hide in boxes and bite you, and then when your friends come running along, you're like rolling around on the beach like, ah, I got bit by a crate snake, and you're just like so upset about it. So anyways, just be careful and just know that the game doesn't really tell you until you try for the first time. I'm giving you a warning that the game is not going to give you. So there it is. We need somebody to search this. This is a free action. It doesn't cost you anything to do this, so you might as well just send somebody out. I'm going to send... His stealth is really bad. Alejandro tends to be the guy you want to send out on your away team to get things done. I also like how well the portraits are done. I don't know. I like the art style in this game. I enjoy it. He's pretty good at stealth and fighting as well. He's actually better than Alejandro, so I may send... Yeah, let's send Jacob. So there's his stealth check. It was a success, which means he doesn't get attacked by the crate snake. And then we pry open the crate, and we get +1 to our scavenging skill, 2 coffee cups, 1 spice, 2 medicinal plants, and a chocolate box. Okay. Hopefully, I would hope that you could find some medicinal plants on the plane that people are taking on vacation with them. You gotta hide them in shampoo bottles. That's how you do it. Put them in shampoo bottles, and then like either, well, it seems like, never mind. I'm not gonna teach people how to do this. We should also probably scavenge some wood from here, because wood is actually incredibly rare in this game. It's hard to come by. And so his scavenging skills kind of suck, though. We need somebody who's... Alejandro, he's average at, like, everything. That's what's nice about him, is if this were a fantasy game, he would be the human. Everybody else would be like an elf or a dwarf or something like that. He'd be the human. He's good at everything, but not, like, amazing at anything. Stealth check. Oh, he failed. And so... Ah, crate snake! Why, crate snake? Why? All I want to do is take some wood. Like, the wood is mine, you may never touch it. And so he got a nail, 3 wood, and he got bit by a crate snake. Hooray for us. Back to camp we go. What a successful first day in the wilds. Oh, that's right, they wanted me to convert fruit into water in the water tank. So as you find fruit around the island, this game uses kind of an interesting system to generate water. So you find fruit around while you're scavenging things, and then you just click this button right here, and it'll convert fruits into a random assortment of 3 to 5 water supplies. So, for example, in my first playthrough when I did this, I got a 5 almost every single time, and it took me up to like 70-something. This time around, not such good luck. Ah, well, what are you going to do? Cry about it? Whatever. The next part that it wants us to do is we have to move 2 characters to the talk slot. Okay, so in the talk slot, I'm going to put in Yuri, because his depression is kind of high from scavenging the plane. And then I'm also going to put in... Who's got bad... Well, everybody's got 20%. Technically... We could have everybody fall back right now and everybody just use the campfire real fast so that they could all feel better. However, if you do that, just know that you're running the risk of having like a catastrophic failure if they all decide to have a fight. Everybody's going to get angry with each other, so there it is. You've been warned. I'm going to bring Julia back over since she's his wife, which means maybe they've got a better chance of getting along. I don't know if these sorts of things work, but just logically, I don't know. I feel better when I talk to my lady friend. That's like one of the big benefits of being in a relationship is like you can talk about shit with them you can't talk about with anybody else. Like kind of like the depressing like deep down stuff inside your mind. I guess you got to date for a while. I don't know. It's easier to be open with somebody you've been dating for like 4 years than somebody you've been dating like a week, but whatever. We need to use a coffee cup on a character. I'm going to use it on Bob. So Bob, would you like a coffee cup? It reduces your fatigue and your depression. You can use items on characters actively and for free by clicking on the use item right here. Just click on that, take it on through, bam, bam, bomb, and you can use whatever you want on them. And so it'll fix it on up. Although some of them have, oh, look at that. It gives him cooking skill. Huh, cool. Never noticed. Alright then, well anyways, apparently there are permanent stat boost items too that you can give to people who are already good at other things or to boost somebody up as a backup. But we're going to use the coffee cup right there. We are almost out of the tutorial. We're at 10 at 13, so we're going to get there eventually, I promise. This is going to be the end of our first episode. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me here for Dead in Bermuda. I will see you all later. Check the game out down below in the description if you wanted to pick it up. I assure you, this is a fun little game. It surprised the hell out of me, so I'll see you later. Hi to everybody.